You think you know who you are. You think you have a personality, a moral compass, a set of unshakable values. You probably consider yourself a good person. You don't steal, you hold the door for the elderly, and you have complex thoughts about politics, art, and philosophy. I hate to break it to you, but your entire personality is a fragile illusion. Your morals, your hobbies, your capacity for love, they do not come from your soul. They come from carbohydrates. You are not a philosopher. You are just a very complicated houseplant that gets extremely dramatic when it hasn't been watered. And if you take away your food for just a few months, everything that makes you human will evaporate, leaving behind a pathetic, irritable creature whose only desire is a baked potato. I am not guessing. Science already proved this. Welcome to 1944, and welcome to the darkest, most depressing dietary study in human history, the Minnesota Starvation Experiment. By 1944, World War II was entering its final stages. The Allies were pushing into Europe and discovering millions of civilians starving to death. The problem was, medical science had no idea how to safely refeed a starving population. If you give a starving person a massive steak, their digestive system shuts down and they die. A scientist named Dr. Ancel Keys decided he needed to figure out the exact science of starvation and rehabilitation. But to do that, he needed to starve some humans. Now, you can't just grab people off the street and lock them in a basement without food. That is illegal. So, Dr. Keys looked for volunteers. He sent out brochures to camps of conscientious objectors, men who refused to fight in the war because of their deep moral and religious beliefs. These were literally the most morally upright, peaceful, and principled young men in the country. They wanted to serve humanity, just not with guns. Out of hundreds of applicants, Keys selected the 36 physically and psychologically strongest men. These guys were the peak of human virtue. They were healthy, optimistic, incredibly polite, and deeply idealistic. Remember this. Remember how good they were, because we are about to watch their morals dissolve in a bowl of watery cabbage. The experiment was divided into phases. The first 3 months were the baseline. The men ate a comfortable 3,200 calories a day. They took university classes, participated in debates, and were required to walk 22 miles a week. They were happy, energetic, and normal. Then came February 1945. The beginning of the semi-starvation phase. For the next 6 months, their caloric intake was brutally slashed in half, down to exactly 1,570 calories a day. Now, 1,570 calories might just sound like a modern influencer's pre-wedding diet, but remember, these men were still forced to walk 22 miles a week, work in the lab, and expend thousands of calories. And the food they were given wasn't a balanced protein shake. Keys wanted to simulate the wartime diet of Europe. They were fed 2 agonizingly small meals a day, consisting of potatoes, turnips, rutabagas, dark bread, and macaroni. Meat and dairy were basically myths. Almost immediately, the physical changes began. The men began to melt. They lost 25% of their body weight. Their ribs protruded. Their faces sank, making them look like walking skulls. Their resting heart rates dropped to 35 beats per minute as their bodies desperately tried to conserve energy. Their body temperatures plummeted so low that they wore heavy winter coats in the middle of the scorching July summer. But the physical decay was nothing compared to what was happening inside their brains. As the weeks dragged on, the men's personalities began to rot. Remember how they were idealistic, intelligent men who loved debating politics and religion? That vanished. They stopped caring about the war. They stopped caring about their families. They stopped caring about each other. The only thing they could think about, talk about, or dream about was food. their behavior became profoundly weird. When their sad little meals were served, they didn't just eat them, they engaged in bizarre, obsessive rituals. They would water down their soup so it would look like there was more of it. They would hold a piece of food in their mouths for minutes without chewing, just to prolong the sensation. They would lick their plates so aggressively that the porcelain started to wear down. But the most disturbing change was their new addiction. Before the experiment, these healthy young men in their 20s were interested in dating, romance, and women. During the starvation phase, their libido dropped to absolute zero. They took down the posters of pinup models in their dormitories. What did they replace them with? Pictures of food. These men started obsessively collecting cookbooks. They would spend hours staring at pictures of roasted chicken and chocolate cake, drooling over the pages. They read recipes with the same heavy breathing and intense focus that a normal man would use to read pornography. Food was their only god now. By month 4, the psychological torture became unbearable. The polite, gentle pacifists became intensely irritable. If a researcher stirred their tea too loudly, the subjects would scream at them. They isolated themselves. A heavy, dark cloud of depression fell over the group. And then their ironclad morals began to break. These were men of high ethical standards, but hunger is a master that demands obedience. Some men broke into local bakeries to steal bread. One man was caught eating scraps out of the garbage. Another man stopped at a hardware store, bought several packs of chewing gum, and aggressively chewed them until his mouth bled, just to simulate the feeling of eating. When Dr. Keys caught the cheaters, he confronted them. These grown men, these brave pacifists, broke down and cried like children. They were deeply ashamed, but they simply could not stop themselves. The survival instinct had completely overwritten their prefrontal cortex. But the absolute climax of human desperation came from a subject named Sam Legg. Sam was a good man, but the psychological toll of the hunger was driving him genuinely insane. He wanted out of the experiment, but his pride wouldn't let him just quit. His starving brain calculated that the only honorable way to be dismissed from the study was to have a severe physical injury. So one day, while chopping wood for his required physical labor, Sam Legg placed his left hand on a wooden block. He raised the heavy iron axe with his right hand and brought it down. He cleanly chopped off 3 of his own fingers, just to avoid eating another bowl of turnips. Finally, the 6 months of hell ended. The war was over, and the rehabilitation phase began. Dr. Keys started slowly increasing their calories. But here is the most terrifying scientific discovery of the entire experiment. Refeeding them did not fix their brains. When the men were allowed to eat more, their hunger did not go away. In fact, it got worse. Their bodies had been in starvation mode for so long that their brains essentially permanently rewired themselves to believe that a famine was always happening. Even when the restriction was completely lifted and they could eat whatever they wanted, they transformed into bottomless biological black holes. Some men consumed up to 10,000 calories a day. They would eat until their stomachs physically could not stretch anymore, vomit, and then continue eating. Months after the experiment ended, men reported that they still felt a deep existential panic whenever they saw a half-empty plate. It took years for some of them to return to a normal psychological state. So what did Dr. Ancel Keys learn? On a practical level, he published a massive 2-volume textbook on the biology of human starvation, which became the global manual for post-war relief efforts. He saved countless lives by proving that you must refeed starving people slowly, primarily with carbohydrates and proteins, not fats. But on a philosophical level, the Minnesota Starvation Experiment gave us a deeply uncomfortable truth about human nature. We love to tell ourselves stories about the strength of the human spirit. We love to believe that our principles, our intelligence, and our moral compasses are the core of our identity. They are not. Your dignity is a luxury. Your morality is a biological privilege paid for by 3 meals a day. The only difference between you and a man willing to chop off his own fingers with an axe is a couple of sandwiches. The next time you feel proud of yourself for being a kind, rational, civilized human being, just remember, you are only about 72 hours of fasting away from fighting a pigeon for a piece of bread. Stay full, stay humble, and hit the subscribe button because producing this video burned calories and I need the ad revenue to buy a potato.